Space Force, the Netflix. I see you shaking your head. The Netflix comedy starring Steve Carell and a whole slew. This ensemble cast. I guess John Malkovich would be like the co-lead in this in a way. But yeah, this cast is deep, and I think when Space Force was first announced, people thought it's a good idea, good premise. Yes, Steve Carell at the helm. Probably a lot of potential for this to go well. Well, similar to the actual Space Force, Dave, was this a success or a total disaster?
It's hard to call it a comedy when it's just not funny, dude.
Yeah.
No, this is really flat, man. And upon learning more about the show, that the genesis of this was more just concept and idea that Netflix presented than anything else. Not that that's always a bad thing. Lost had the same origin, but it just didn't come together. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's not very funny. It's not witty. It's not that intelligent. It has a main protagonist that is difficult to root for most of the time, especially in the beginning of the season.
Oh, yeah.
There's just not a lot to latch onto. And it's, I don't care how much it's in the top 10 of Netflix. It's just, it's not good. At least his first season is not good. It reminds me a lot of how Avenue 5 really fell flat for HBO earlier in the year. Another similar thing where you had this really great high concept in Space Force's case. It's not actually a satire on the Space Force or political climate, despite the fact that we're going to parody people like AOC and Nancy Pelosi and stuff. It's just a workplace comedy, except it's not a funny or smart one. And it wastes a lot of that great cast you're mentioning. So, yeah, this was, it's only 5 hours long, the first season, but it was just kind of a chore to finish. And I think it ends stronger than it starts, but it's a low bar.
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. I think probably the first sign for me that this was not hitting was that pretty much every time I saw someone on the screen, I just wanted to watch something else that they're in. Whether it was seeing Steve Carell try to deliver some of these jokes that, for the most part, were pretty poorly written. I just kind of wanted to see Michael Scott. When Ben Schwartz would pop up, I wanted to watch Parks and Rec. I wanted
Sonic.
Yeah, Jimmy O Yang. I just wanted to go back and watch early Silicon Valley. Like there were some moments I thought really worked. Like and all these people I think individually have some funny moments. Like I think Ben Schwartz as the publicist is probably my favorite character. Him and Jimmy O Yang.
Tony.
Yeah. And Malkovich, I also think.
Yeah, I think he was the best episode probably.
Yeah, I agree. And, especially because the last time we watched Malkovich, I think we both were a little bit turned off by his performance in The New Pope. But yeah, I just felt like a lot of these parts, a lot of these plot lines just resolved too quickly, just kind of fell through. Like, and especially with his daughter, was it Diana Silvers, who we know from Booksmart last year, plays like the hot cool girl in that. She's playing Erin, Steve Carell's daughter. I felt like the decisions, everything with her was just like half baked. She's dating this Russian guy, and then all of a sudden that's just over. She's kind of like trying to date. Like the only running through line of this whole thing was that she wanted to spend more time with her dad, and dad wasn't around. But yeah, so much of the stuff with her I feel like was like half ideas that just kind of fall through, not actually written out. And she's such a charismatic actor that to not give her more to do and just kind of be this like display of how bad of a person or how overwhelmed Steve Carell's Mark Naird is just such a waste. And it's kind of the whole season, just such a waste.
Right. And the plot of the show, there's not a whole lot of overwhelming conflict on the Space Force angle of it. In terms of like the Russians or the Chinese or whatever, like nothing really amounts to whole much conflict. And the stuff with like the rivalry with the Air Force, where Noah Emmerich going really over the top, that also comes and goes. Mm-hmm. So you're left with this whole other plots regarding Naird's personal life. And like you said, it's just really surface level stuff. Like you have Lisa Kudrow kind of over cast in. It's not quite a nothing part, I'd say, but like because we get more like the talk about monogamy later in the season, I guess. But it's like I don't think anything like comes to this amazing end point. That there's not like any great moments that land like that, you know. And I think for me, the stuff, and especially in the early goings, man, where Naird is just really arrogant and unintelligent about stuff that you don't really care that his personal life is bad because you already really don't like everything else you're being shown of him already, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess for me, like this, I like moments like when they're fighting during the test exercise with like the BB guns or the airsoft guns, whatever they were, right?
Yeah.
Against the Air Force. That was kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
I think episode 6 where Caitlin Olsen and Janita Gavankar cameo or guest star. Mm-hmm. The one episode where Olsen's like the Theranos lady is the spoof. Like that was funny. But like there was just no like consistent arc for me. And it's kind of weird because Carell and Greg Daniels are the creative forces behind the show. And of course, they're the same for The Office. And The Office had to recalculate after its first season. You think they would have learned that lesson, but again, similar to Avenue 5 with Iannucci and Veep, I think some recalibration for a second season is in order because this was just it just wasn't that great.
Steve Carell, interesting actor. I feel like he's taken a lot of L's recently. I want to pull up his filmography here real quick.
He's been a lot of dramatic roles post Office, right? He wanted to branch out. This is probably his first major return to comedy, definitely on the TV side. But
yeah,
stuff like Beautiful Boy and Foxcatcher. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot different than this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess he was in The Big Short. Which I'd call a W for him. Foxcatcher, he got a nomination, I believe, for that. So that's.
I don't think he did. Ruffalo did, I think.
Okay, so one of them did, but let's see. Obviously, he's the voice of Gru, which is probably his just big money cash cow at this point.
Yep.
Film wise, I mean, like you said,
he's in Vice a little bit.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. He was good as Rumsfeld. I'll give him that.
That was funny. Yeah, he gets that. Oh, Marwin, that's the big L.
I was about to say, welcome to Marwin. That's the big L. I mean, that's really tough. Let's see. What do we got here? We got Space Force, The Morning Show, which has been pretty widely panned, and he's playing a Matt Lauer type figure.
Oh, that's right.
I'm not sure why he signed up for that. Let's see. And then he hasn't done a lot of TV, honestly. Before The Morning Show, it looks like he really was only doing like one-offs. And then Angie Tribeca, which I'm not really sure what that is, but looks like he was just a co-producer on that.
Yeah. So
this is a really like his first return to comedy on TV, and it's tough, man. It's hard though when you play a character like Michael Scott, who really is so iconic and so just like a part of the I don't know, culture at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, you can't go on Twitter without seeing a Michael Scott meme. It just makes it hard, I think, for him to really branch out. And I think, especially when he plays comedy, he really just embodied that character so much, and it kind of just became him. That even in this role, I think you see a lot of Michael Scott type mannerisms and stupidity, but like then strangely competent at times. I don't know. I was really disappointed, but I do think there's some seeds, and I think if they sharpen up the writing a little bit and actually pick a consistent arc, we'll see some progress in season 2, which it seems like there's going to be because it was left off on a cliffhanger. So there will be a Space Force season 2, and we'll be talking about it. Any last thoughts for you, Dave?
I think my overall favorite aspect of the show would be the kind of burgeoning chemistry between Jimmy O Yang and Tawny Newsom's characters towards the back half of the season. Also nice to hear Jimmy O Yang just be an actor and not have to do kind of a stereotypical Asian accent like he had to do in Silicon Valley. So, I like watching him, and Tawny Newsom I'm newer to, but I thought she was also pretty good. So that's where I'm most hopeful for. I feel like John Malkovich feels like a guy who's not going to hang around on TV that long. So I wonder if his Adrian Mallory character will leave. But either way, I don't know was there actually an official renewal for season 2 yet? I did not see anything. But
I
it's
didn't
been
see
so
anything
popular.
either.
I'm not worried about that. I'm sure it's going to come back.
Yeah, and to leave it off the way they did, I just imagine that they're planning on season two. But yeah, I didn't see an official thing in any way. Also, R.I.P. Fred Willard. This might be the last thing we really see him
Yeah.
in. So I wish it was better for him.